In this video, my goal is to build for 10 hours straight, creating builds that you just don't see every day, okay? I love creating super unique and interesting builds that really not many people would think to create in Minecraft, and well, I'm super freaking excited to get started, so let's just get into it. Okay, so for my first build idea, this comes from basically a series of novels I've been reading recently. I just finished the first book called Metro 2033. You may have heard of the bloody games, which also slap pretty freaking hard. And essentially that's just inspired me to try and create maybe like one of the metro tunnel outposts, I guess. I think it is going to turn out really cool. Well, if I can find a good freaking spot for it, man. Jesus Christ. All right, so yeah, I'm just in spectator mode right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select 2 points, kind of create like a bit of a tunnel shape with world edit here. We're going to set this to 0, and there we have our kind of tunnel, I guess. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hit right shift with the Axiom mod here, and this is basically the advanced world edit, okay? We're going to get the shape tool. I'm going to set this over to cylinder. I'm going to click to place this bad boy down. I'm also going to rotate it so it is kind of, you know, like tunnel oriented. I don't know what I'm saying, brother. Okay, we do want this bad boy to be hollow, and I do also need it to be a bit bigger. So let's increase the diameter. Oh, honestly, do I even want, I think I want something even bigger and wider than this tunnel I've made here. So there we go. That's our tunnel there. I'm going to paste a copy, and then we have our tunnel. And what I might actually do is, because we have that copy there, I'm actually going to extend this a crap load. So okay, here is our completed tunnel. I've also given myself night vision so we can actually see. And I've added some black concrete at the back here. So once we remove our night vision, it kind of looks like it just fades out. Okay, so I do have a little bit of reference with me here, which is this image. Okay, don't start doing that, brother. You're gonna freak me out before I can even freaking get started. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna select this entire selection of track and just extend this bad boy all the way freaking down. There we go. Now, I'm also gonna set the difficulty over to peaceful so I don't have to deal with these annoying ass mobs, okay? I have to deal with them enough in survival. I don't want them in creative too. I think let's add some detail to this tunnel, because right now it is just a plain freaking stinking boring old piece of poo. And so I think the first thing that's gonna look really cool is actually getting some copper blocks, and like in the reference there, you can see those kind of rings around the entire tunnel. So we're gonna basically get that going here. You fucking beauty, look at that. All right, so now we're gonna make sure we select the entire thing here, middle mouse to extend your selection out, and actually we're going to change this over to clone, and we need to figure out how far apart we want each of these to be. So I think maybe about yay, looks pretty good. That's 5 blocks in between. And now, so we don't have to do that all the way down, what we can now do is grab the stack tool, select maybe a couple of the, oh, I freaking missed the top, you freaking bastard mongrel. Perfect. There we have our, oh dude, that's looking so good already. Now there is some kind of details that go this way as well, you know? So like along here, what we can do is we can stack that selection down to the end. Okay, and there we have it. Our metro tunnel is coming along freaking beautifully, albeit maybe a little bit too large. I may have made this way too big. Okay, here is our brand new and improved freaking thing. You might see that this is completely different size now. I ended up redoing everything because I got the spacing of these wrong. So we've got a smaller tunnel. I've added a bunch more of these little details throughout the entire thing, along with this hanging down section. Now, okay, it is time to get started on the outpost. Oh my god, the rails. The rails, brother. I forgot to add the rails back. Okay, so outpost, I reckon we're going to chuck him maybe right here. We're going to symbolize that with a bit of a campfire, of course. And then I want to add like a little bit of a barricade kind of around this area, like in the reference picture. Maybe let's try some stripped birch logs and some birch planks for texture. There'd be something a bit like this. And then we can, of course, crack out the stairs and slabs. But we also do want to make it look like we can kind of walk around this. Like it's not meant to barricade off the entire freaking thing. Yeah, there we go. I think that's looking pretty bloody good there. Now, we do, of course, need some freaking chairs for these guys to sit on and stuff. So what I might actually do is maybe chip away those just so we have a little bit more room here to work with. Let's place some more campfires down and we can use these as chairs. Now, of course, there would be like supplies and stuff being sent here and, you know, just kind of general storage. So we're, of course, going to get, you know, the classic barrels and chests scattered around, okay? Of course, some fuel for the campfire, maybe stacked up over here. Could maybe even get a couple of kind of logs off to the side too. A little something simple like that. Maybe get some candles and maybe a lantern up on here as well. And probably have like a couple of scattered lanterns around the place too. I did just notice they do have like a pretty big spotlight actually kind of attached to the barricade. So maybe we could add that here and then maybe surround it with some trapdoors and all of these kind of sides it's not meant to be emitting light, you know? I think that does look pretty cool. Now, I do think we're gonna definitely benefit from just some scattered kind of various details for a little bit further down the tunnel. So maybe get another one of these barricades here, and we'll change it up to maybe make it look a little bit more disheveled, like a kind of abandoned outpost of sorts. And I just had a thought, maybe at the end here, instead of just making this like kind of this weird kind of cut off thing, we could actually make this maybe like a bit of like a crumpled, what am I trying to say? Like a caved in area. Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. And so the perfect tool for that, frickin' rock tool, mate. We're gonna set this over to, I reckon, just some cobbled deep slate. It's gonna work pretty well. And we'll just start painting this shit everywhere. Bang, dude. Literally, that quick and easily, we've got like a caved in little bit of a section here. Dude, that is perfect already. And one final detail that I think we're definitely gonna benefit from is some frickin' minecarts. And dude, there we have it. I reckon what we're gonna do now, oh my god, dude. Holy snapping dog shit. That looks good. I tell you what, this frickin' the advanced lighting, complimentary on Unbound, advanced colored lighting, chuck that shit on right now. It's so good, okay? So here's a bit of a before. Still looks pretty frickin' good, dude. And after, oh my god, okay. It doesn't even compare. That is just insane. I love how like yellow this makes this whole area. But yeah, there we have it. The first build is done. The Metro 2033 outpost design thing. So good, dude. I love it. Perfect. Alright, next build, I have found pretty much the perfect freaking spot here to get started on. And essentially I had this idea on how to make a really easy, like massive dam wall with Axiom mod, of course. So the first step is going to be grabbing out the path tool here. We're also going to set the block to something a little bit weird, like gold blocks or some shit. And we'll change it back to a normal block later. This is just so we can like, you know, mask it out. And so my idea is essentially we're just going to like paint the shape of this. So it might be worth switching this over to a Bezier curve. Start him right about yonder. This might actually be a bit harder than I thought, because ideally you want all of these to be at the same height like this. Okay, so we're going to position this one all the way at the other side over yonder. Then we can grab this point. Might actually lower the FOV here so we can see a bit easier. I'm going to move this point like over here, and then this one as well, probably about there, I reckon. And then we have a nice kind of curved dam wall, nice and like organic looking. I mean, it's not really meant to look organic looking, but I mean, it works, okay? And so now, with that created, we should be able to just press enter to paste it in. And now we should be able to get the extrude tool here and just start expanding this bottom one out. Okay, now it does definitely look a little bit strange up around this area. So, what can we do about that? Fucked if I know, mate. Oh, there we go. I just figured out a freaking super easy way. We can instead just shrink it up to the line of where these are, and bang, there we have it. Now we can just expand this down. Oh, you beauty. Okay. And then we can probably do the same for the top here to get it nice and flat. Just expand that down so it's all flat and in line there, and then expand it back up. Yes, okay, there we have it. That is awesome. That's so easy to get like this nicely curved dam wall there. Now what we should be able to do is get the old magic select tool. That's going to easily kind of just highlight individual blocks. So we can use this to just get the gold blocks, and then we can do Control F and replace this with whatever goddamn block we want, okay? Okay, I ended up deciding on the old classic faithful polished bloody andesite, mate. It always looks good, okay? And so the next thing we need to, of course, do for the dam is raise the water on one side, which, you know, obviously I plan on doing this side, okay? And well, the first thing I actually want to do is grab out the old script brush tool here. And so there's a bunch of pre-built script brushes here, and the one I want to use here, where is it? Clear foliage. Bang. We're gonna increase this bad boy like massively, okay? And all I essentially want to do is just clear out all of the freaking trees in here, okay? I don't want any weird underwater trees, and obviously we're going to be flooding this entire area with freaking water. So that is the plan there. Bang. See you later, dickheads. So now what we're going to do, we're going to get flood fill. We're going to change the block over to water, and also increase the limit quite substantially here, and figure out what kind of height we're looking at here. There we go. So that's extending all the way out to here. And now, because this isn't one fully looped thing, it's of course just going to kind of start filling out. So what I might do is actually grab the elevation tool here and maybe make a little bit of a makeshift kind of wall along here, kind of as natural as I can get it, I guess, just to make it look like the water is naturally being held in here. And then to get this a bit more natural, we'll kind of beef up these mountains a little bit here, just because they're very oddly tall and thin. But yeah, I think that's looking pretty good just for a quick and dirty little mountain range there. Let's continue our flood filling. Now, just for the rest of this last little bit, what we can do to sit just in the water, and we'll use fix water on 100 with old world edit here just to get the last of this filled in. The only pain in the ass about this is, yeah, it takes forever, but there we go. There is the entire kind of reservoir filled in. Now we can head back over to our dam wall. And the one thing I really want to do for this is add just one big tube with water literally just spurting out of it. So once again, we're going to crack out the old cylinder here. There we go. What we also might be able to do for something interesting is kind of rotate this so it actually aligns with the river here. Yeah, dude, that looks pretty cool. So how are we thinking about the size and placement? Maybe up a bit higher. Yeah, I think that's looking good. Bang, paste him in. Then I reckon I probably should have made this hollow. So maybe what I might do instead is actually reduce the diameter here. We'll change this over to air. And then we should paste that. There we go. We've got a hollow frickin' tube. Perfect, brother. Look at that. Now, I think what'll look good in here is having some iron bars kind of back here a little bit. And this is actually going to be quite the pain in the bum hole to get done. So give me a second. I'll get this all done right now. All right, that is looking pretty good. Now what we need to do is add some water in here. And I don't want this to just kind of pour out. I want it to shoot out, man. I want it to be you know? And so, yeah, I don't really know how we're going to do that. Potentially rock tool, maybe. Let's set this over to water. The only thing is I don't know if this is going to like update. Okay, no, it's not. It's actually not going to update and start flowing. That's pretty good. So the only other problem is I don't know how we're going to get this kind of spurting out unless if I have a sort of track to paint along. So maybe what we could do is by hand paint a little track for my mouse to kind of follow. Now what we should be able to do, come up here. Oh, I need it to be up in the middle of the frickin' pipe, you dick knob. Good thing about bloody Axiom, we can just frickin' move the whole thing up. Okay, let's give it another go. So we're going to start him right here, paint it along the track. Oh yeah, dude. Now all we should need to do is just delete all of this andesite and take a bit of a look from afar. There we have it. We have our dam wall with freaking water shooting out. Dude, that looks so cool. It may be unnaturally kind of shaped. It probably should be a bit more like that, but that's okay. I kind of like the way that looks anyway. Now, I definitely do think we do need to add some details to the top of this. I definitely think we need like a little bit of protection along the top of here. Okay, there is some railings added on, which definitely make it feel a little bit safer to walk across. And I did just have an idea for something to kind of elevate this water here. So my idea is to get some freaking cobwebs, okay? Cobwebs, yes. I'm also going to hold Alt, and what I'm going to turn on over here is Angel Placement, which allows us to place blocks mid-air, as you can see. And I'm also going to turn on No Updates, so we don't update any of the water around here and kind of mess it all up. And so what I think is going to work kind of nicely is just adding some of this kind of white water effect, I guess, around the entire thing to make it look like it's actually splashing, okay? All right, there we go. That's added in. Let's go far away and take a look. Take a bit of a gaze. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. It definitely elevates it a little bit and adds kind of some white water around it. Yeah, I think that turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this massive damn wall. And let's move on to the next damn build, okay? All right, next up on my big stinking list of builds is to create a maritime checkpoint kind of facility, I guess. The idea is like kind of a narrow passage between two big bits of land that boats would need to pass through, and maybe this is where a point where, like, you know, they need to be checked or something for security bloody reasons. So we do have a nice little natural kind of pass through here, but it is diagonal, and I kind of want this to be a straight on kind of build. So what I'm gonna do is grab out the old elevation tool here and just kind of you know, change the frickin' land to be exactly how I want it. So I'm just gonna start raising up a bunch of kind of land around here. Okay, so here is our kind of land formation. And so what I want to do next is get a couple of towers on each sides of this. So to get that nice and easily, we can once again get the shape tool here, and I'm going to set this to bit of a cuboid. So let's paste a copy. That's going to allow us to paste this in, and then we can still have this kind of selection in the exact spot. Move this over, make it even higher than the last one, maybe up at about there. And I kind of want this to be bigger as well in terms of the width and stuff. Now we of course need to get some detail chucked into these bad boys. Now I think what it's going to look good is adding a bit of a wall around this. And so I'm going to do that with world edit here with the frickin' / walls command. Then to get the actual building portion established, let's maybe actually select that entire thing, extend something up like that, and then maybe get a similar kind of thing again up Yeah, I think that's gonna look cool. Almost like a bit of a lighthouse of sorts, but not quite a lighthouse, you know what I'm saying? So I think getting some stone brick walls around this might look nice, maybe not. Actually, what we can do, we can get the tinker here. With an empty hand, we should be able to kind of disconnect that, but I don't know how we actually... There we go, that's what I want. Beauty, you absolute beauty. So this is basically doing like what a debug stick would do, except it just makes it easier. You can just do it with your hand like that. And there we go. That's a pretty nice little effect right there. Now, so we don't have to freaking repeat that whole process. We can just clone this around. Let's get the roof added on. We should be able to once again get another shape. Maybe not that big. Set this over to a pyramid. And we're definitely going to have to change the height here. Holy crap, that is a bit whack. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Let's paste that in. What the hell is going on there, brother? Okay, we need to move that over. So there is kind of the base for our little tower here. I think we definitely do need a little bit of like kind of structure added to this, because right now it's just one uniform kind of block. So I reckon some pillars of some polished andesite is going to look really nice on the corners especially. Stack this all the way down. That's how we're going to get those pillars added in nice and quick and easily. Then I reckon we can also maybe get some walls. I reckon we will get the exact same thing up here and also on this tower as well. Oh, you prick. See, I need to do, where is it? No updates. Now, if we try that here, it's not going to update the blocks around it. That is exactly what we need. So give me a second. I'm going to get all of this crap done real quick. And you can see with just that simple little block change there, that has made that look so much more kind of established. I think what we could definitely do though, maybe just to add a little bit of extra depth, is shift that entire thing in a bit. And that gives us that interesting kind of look of depth there. I reckon that's just going to kind of take the build to the next fucking level, I reckon. You fucking dickhead. Sorry, I don't know what came over me there. Maybe what we could even do is introduce some extra kind of pillars throughout this. Yeah, we kind of might have to do something like that. Let's stack that down and have a fucking squeeze at how that looks. Yeah, that's a bit of an interesting look. I do kind of like that, actually. I don't think we'll add it to the entire build. Maybe just the kind of this bottom portion. Yeah, that's a cool look. I really do like that, actually. And I might even keep this top portion exactly how this is. We could definitely add a bit of a doorway in. Probably should have made all of these freaking hollow, man. God damn it. That's okay. We'll just give the idea of an interior by adding a cool little bit of a doorway in. There we go. That's looking pretty good. And I think at the top, we will get something that kind of emulates a bit of a lighthouse, I reckon. Well, I mean, we do really... Ideally, we should have a lighthouse up here because, you know, it is a rocky area at night. You're not going to be able to see exactly where you are. So I think that actually works out perfectly. And that looks freaking sweet, if I might say so myself, you dickhead. I think to top it off, like what's really going to make it is getting a bit of a flag added up here. I think for authority, blue, okay? Police, I think they're usually blue colored as far as I know. We want this to be kind of like a police kind of checkpoint, I guess, of sorts. Yes, dude. Holy snapping dog shit, that looks good. Actually, I just have one more little detail we got to add. Bang. Little bit of a flower pot just because. Just because, why the hell not? Dude, that looks awesome. That looks so good. And now we pretty much just essentially got to replicate this exact same thing on the other side, but just at a bit bigger of a scale and with a bit more authority, I reckon. Maybe even get an offset building with another one off to the side. Now this is going to be very similar to this, so I'm just going to skip ahead and give me a second, okay? All right, so first things first with the secondary tower, I began replicating similar details to the first, like the big pillars and polished andesite. I then went with my idea of adding 2 offset buildings to the top of this one, along with adding a bigger flag at the very top. Now onto the actual checkpoint part, I decided on separating it into 2 different sections, one delegated to smaller boats and the other for larger ones. With the arches and details added, I then of course built a way to get up to each of the towers, and I decided on doing that with a copper staircase for each one. I then felt the roofs here could use a bit of love, so I sprinkled in some slabs and then added some texture throughout the whole build with some stone bricks and andesite. Alright, and there it is. There is our security checkpoint all done. That is looking so much better with that texture as well. Just stone bricks, and andesite is like literally the perfect combination of blocks, okay? I still feel like these buildings are maybe a little bit too simple. I probably could have used a different block for the roofs, for instance, but I do kind of like the general vibe of these where they're purpose-built structures. They're not meant to look like as nice as possible. They're like policing structures. I don't know how to explain it other than that. But honestly, I think this build turned out super freaking cool and unique. And that's the whole idea of the builds in this goddamn video. So let's get on to the next one. This next idea is a bit of a quick and easy one we should be able to get done relatively quickly. like I just said. And so the idea is basically like a cliffside kind of tunnel exit for a train of sorts. And I feel like this is probably a pretty freaking good looking spot right here. So let's go ahead and start clearing away a little bit of an area for our train to theoretically exit this tunnel. And well, why am I using my bare bloody mitts? I can actually just use this freaking tool right here. You absolute bloody beauty. All right, so to get the shape of this pretty much perfect, what we can do is of course grab the shape tool, and I'm thinking the cylinder is going to work pretty nicely here. We're also going to change this over to air, so it of course removes, and we press enter. Oh, we press enter, there we go. Perfect, there is our tunnel. I'm going to flatten this back off. So we'll fly all the way in here and we'll do / set stone. Next we do, of course, need a bit of a railway in here, but I think before that, we could probably grab out the painter tool. And so instead of having kind of dirt along the edges here, we could probably paint on some stone to make it look a bit more kind of, you know, like it isn't gonna fall apart within 3 seconds. So something a bit like that is looking quite nice there. I really do wish you could get like a bigger rail or something. Maybe, actually, let's make our own freaking rail. I'm gonna use this as our reference here, and we're gonna make a kind of a 3-wide version of it somehow. I don't know how this is gonna work. Actually, I just got an idea. We need some kind of slab, possibly this one, maybe this one, or possibly even this one. We'll give them a go. We'll give them all a bloody go. And then I think for the crossbar between them, maybe some spruce trapdoors. Let's just have a gaze, see how that freaking looks. That looks quite big. That looks quite large, but it does actually look quite nice as well. I think we're gonna have to get a bit of a bigger tunnel entrance here for that to kind of work. And there we go. That just fits in a lot nicer there. That looks actually really good. We're gonna use the stack tool here to stack this all the way down. And then I think what's gonna look really nice is having a bit of like a suspension, not a suspension bridge, but just a thin kind of wooden bridge. I reckon that's gonna look really cool. So we want a little bit of an overhang here. Then in the middle, we could of course get some stairs going to a slab, and then finally maybe a trapdoor for a bit of an arched vibe. Stack this along, and then we'll just grab the entire thing and stack this down quite a ways, probably to there. I mean, I'm not gonna freaking go to the end of the world with this thing. I'm probably just gonna leave it. We'll go a bit further, okay? Maybe actually what we could do, get a bit of elevation going and make a bit of a mountain so that this actually goes into another mountain. Now the blocks are definitely a bit messed up here. And so to fix that, we're gonna replace only oak leaves here, because that's kind of the problem there. We can replace all those leaves with some grass. We do actually have oak leaves back there, so we'll change this back. And paint all over these bad boys too. There we go. Now we have a bit more of a normal looking mountain. Now we do need another opening here, so we can probably just paste in another one of these. Stack them all the freaking way down. You bloody beauty. Yes. That is so good. I love the way that freaking looks. That's perfect. Now, what we want to do is find the middle point of this entire area, which I'm thinking is right about yay. What I'm going to do is grab the stack tool, and I'm just going to stack that all the way down. Now, that is the wrong orientation. That's going to piss me off greatly. So I'm actually going to redo that. And I think a third pillar there will look quite nice too. So let's stack that. Bloody beauty. That is looking good. Now what I want is some very thin kind of arches. And once again, the path tool is going to prove very freaking good for that. Let's set our first point right about there. Second point, we want kind of the middle. And then the last point, we want maybe, we want that actually be in line with that. And then we're going to bring this up and actually probably even move that in like that. So that is looking pretty good. We will tick use stairs and slabs to get it looking a little smoother. And then we're just gonna frickin' smack enter. Bang. There we have our freaking supported arch thingamajiglet. Now, what we should be able to do, clone this. Perfect. That is looking awesome. Now, to do the other side, we're going to clone this entire thing up to the middle point, rotate him around, smack him on, then we're going to rotate him around again, and chuck it right bloody there. Holy crap, look at how easy that was to get such an awesome looking bridge. That is so good. Holy crap. I feel like we definitely do need some more supports kind of in these areas. I think we could benefit from that. Hell yeah, there we go. We just got a cliffside little train hole tunnel opening onto a suspension bridge into another freaking tunnel. Dude, so good. I love it. Perfect. Next build. Okay, and for this next build, my plan is to make a big, massive, absolutely stinking feral shipyard. Like container shipping container yard. That's the one. So what we're gonna do is grab this piece of land and I'm gonna chop it up to bits, okay? I'm gonna leave maybe a 2-block gap here and I'm just gonna literally remove every other block in the vicinity, you know what I'm saying? Literally name one other YouTuber that has better explaining skills than me, okay? I'll wait. Bang. Okay, we've chopped the whole crap out of this land. Now, the next thing that I want to do is essentially just make like a big frickin' stinking slab of crap. Or actually, what we could do for my idea is, this will make sense in a second, but what I want to do, select this and then maybe about out to yonder. So I want 2 separate little islands with a channel going through the middle, okay? / set frickin' water. Oh, you dickhead. What an idiot, man. Seriously, actually stupid. Okay, there we go. There is our little canal going through. Now what I want to do is just completely remove all of this grass and stuff and just cover it over with like some stone bricks and stuff. So how am I going to do that, you ask? Well, of course, with some freaking world edit magic, okay? I'm going to select right here. Then we're going to go all the way to the other side of this bad boy, maybe to yonder. Spectator mode, go down, pause 2, set frickin' stone. It's as easy as that. There we go. I honestly don't know if we're going to take up this entire platform. I'm going to do the exact same thing over here. Okay, there we go. We have our 2 sides of the shipping yard with a big channel going straight through the middle. Now, the first thing that I really need to figure out is how to make a good shipping container, okay? They're a very specific looking kind of creature and we need to figure it out, and I want a bunch of different colors too. And so essentially if we just make one, we can paste it all over the place and just easily change the color of it as well. So now I really want to get some details added throughout, like all the corrugations and shit, but I just don't know how to do it. Okay, there we have it. So that is essentially my idea for the shipping containers. I literally just searched in the walls and I've just kind of used those for the corrugations and got the most closely matching block, I guess. So there we go. We've got 4 different colors of shipping containers that we can use. And I think to make life easier, what we can actually do is select each and every one of these, do a Control C and a bit of a Control P, and save this as shipping container _blue. And then just do that for each one. And that way we can easily copy and paste these in. Okay, and now with our blueprints, wait, just hold on 1 second. Oh, that's good shit. Okay. Excuse me. Now, sorry, I'm eating a fruit-filled bar. It's good. Now, whenever we want to spawn one of these in, we just click up here, scroll down a little, bang, 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 bang. There's all 4 of our little shipping containers. Now we can quickly and easily build this whole frickin' shipping yard, literally in a flash, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna remove these 4 that we've made. The first thing I wanna make as kind of the centerpiece of this entire thing is like those big cranes that move the shipping containers around on the land. I think that would be quite sick. So first, my vision is to have one of these, well actually 2 of these, strips of these, and this is like the tracks that I guess it would kind of follow. Then of course we need to build like the legs of this thing and the wheels and such that it uses to move along the tracks. So let's maybe grab out some, I reckon maybe actually some blackstone for the wheels, and they might look a little something like this. We'll get the clone tool, put that on the other side, and then I reckon, what are we gonna make this thing out of? Good old classic polished andesite, okay? You just can't go wrong with it for these industrial applications, okay? So I reckon what we'll do with this, something like this to complete the wheel, and then I reckon we will make that an enclosed kind of thing like that. Maybe even add some slabs down here, just because we can. Like, seriously, why the hell not? And actually, I might even make these into full blocks so that we can then extend this up into the leg of the thingamajiglet. So we're gonna have this extend up quite high, maybe about yay. Or we could even go with like a plus kind of shape, maybe. See how that looks? Yeah, okay, maybe a bit of a plus shape is where it's at. Okay, now I think what we do is clone this entire thing down and try and figure out the spacing of these. Oh, not stack. What the bloody Jesus? Clone. Clone it down, I reckon probably about yonder is gonna be perfect, I reckon. And now that we have these, we need to figure out the spacing of you know, the other legs over this way, like that. All right, now to start creating the rest of the thing, we're of course gonna add a bit of a slab kind of platform on top of this. So I'm actually just going to do this with World Edit instead. So we can just set that to polished andesite, and there is our kind of top portion. I think that needs to be 1 block thicker actually. Now I will kind of ease the transition into this by using some stairs on these parts. Next up, I think we need some supports in between these legs. So we'll get maybe a 2 block wide kind of of stretch going between these two thingies like this. Okay, now before we continue with the rest of this, we do of course need a way to get up and into this bad boy. And so I'm thinking of getting a ladder positioned somewhere. That'll kind of dictate where we're going to put the rest of the stuff on top. So let's get something like this going. I might actually stack this down just because I can. We will of course chuck a freaking ladder on the other side of this. Now, sorry for my bedrock boys. You're not going to be able to do this one. This is reserved for Java freaking Chads only. There we go. There's our ladder up. Now we do kind of need some like operating thing, you know, like a control station. I don't know, dude. Don't ask me. Sorry, I'm just getting carried away. All right, so about that size is going to be good. What's that? Gap of bloody 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. Stack these bitches up. Get some walls going. Bang, bang. Dude, if you showed me someone building like this, like back, like maybe when I first started, like 4 or 5 years ago, like literally just stacking shit around like this, I probably would have pooed my pants. I'm not kidding. Like, it's just crazy that you can build like this. You know, you barely even have to place anything by hand nowadays. It's honestly, it's so good. Man. All right, so we're getting a doorway slapped on this bitch. Now, to kind of cap off the top of this, I'm thinking maybe some fences and stuff are gonna look quite good. Maybe even some iron bloody bars. There we go, so that's the roof of that. I think we definitely need some kind of like windows in here so you can actually see out. All right, that is looking really good, but honestly, I think what we need to do is change this from a solid kind of thing into maybe having some gaps. I'm gonna delete a big chunk of this out like that to make it sort of more a bit wireframe feeling. And I might do the same right out front of our thingamabobber right here too. There we go. I do actually think that needs some kind of like supports going through. Now we do actually need the thing that picks up the crane, the shipping containers. So to make that, what we could do, stack these bad boys down a ways. Then what we'll do, paste in one of our shipping containers. I think a nice blue one will fit in quite good. Let's pray that that actually links up. Maybe some copper actually. Alright, there we go. So something like that. So it's actually grabbed onto the shipping container with like a bit of a claw kind of mechanism. Dude, that looks so good. Holy snapping dog shit. That looks awesome. There we have our freaking shipping container movalator. That is awesome. Now, just because I'm a bit of a lazy prick, I think to fill out some space on the other side, I'm going to duplicate this entire thing and paste it over here and just rotate it so it's on the other side and then kind of paste it in maybe about there. All right, now I think that's the main thing done. All that's left to do is just paste around a bunch of these freaking shipping containers all over the place and get some details to the rest of these kind of slabs. So I'm gonna get that all done as a bit of a time lapse. Let's get started. Okay, so first of all, of course, I just simply continued pasting heaps of shipping containers all over the place in sort of realistic ways. I made sure to alternate the colors heaps so there's a good variety as well. And once I was happy with the amount I had, I felt it was time to start detailing the rest of the build, firstly by adding some pillars along the sides of the canal, some big light posts, and even some hazard strips. I then added some texture to the entirety of the ground, adding stone bricks, andesite, and cracked stone bricks to the mix. For the finishing touches, some smaller details were in order, so I placed around barrel piles, piles of pots, log piles, and much more. Alright, and here is the shipping yard all done. Now, my final vision for this was to actually have it as like kind of a foggy shipping yard. So, what I'm going to do is lower the render distance here, and that didn't work at all. I might actually have to turn off frickin', what's it called? Distant Horizons. There we go. That's getting me exactly what I wanted. Let's increase this up to maybe 12. Oh, brother. Okay, now we got to adjust the time. I'm thinking 11,500 specifically, okay? Don't ask why. Brother, that is so good with those light rays coming in. Now, I could do a lot more tweaking with the fog, which I'm gonna do. Give me a second. Dude, that is looking like such a freaking vibe right there. That is absolutely beautifully perfect. I love it. All right, and well, that is just about going to do it for the 10 hours of building. I spent way too much time freaking planning all of these builds, figuring them all out and building them, dude. It was so much fun though. I really love doing this, so be sure to let me know if you want to see more videos like this in the future and like different kind of themes of builds we can do. I mainly stuck to kind of industrial kind of stuff for this one, but I think it turned out freaking sweet, man. If you want to download this world and explore each one of these builds for yourself, be sure to check out my Patreon as the download will be up over there. If you want to watch me survive 100 days underground, check out this freaking video right here. And yeah, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.